If your child's school has suggested a WISC assessment, and you're quietly hoping it will finally tell you whether they have ADHD, this video is for you. It's one of the most common questions I hear from parents, and the honest answer surprises people. A WISC test does not diagnose ADHD, but, and this is the part worth staying for, it can reveal patterns that point straight to it. Let me show you exactly what a WISC can and can't do. Before we dive in, here's what we'll cover. First, what a WISC test actually is, and the 5 things it measures. Second, the big question every parent is really asking, can it diagnose ADHD? And third, what a full ADHD assessment adds on top. Let's get into it. The WISC, the Wechsler Intelligence Scale for children, is the most widely used IQ test for kids aged 6 to 16. It measures cognitive ability across several areas: verbal reasoning, visual and spatial problem solving, working memory, and processing speed. It gives you a full-scale IQ score, and, just as usefully, a profile of a child's thinking strengths and challenges. What it is not is a behavior test. ADHD is a neurodevelopmentally condition diagnosed by looking at attention, impulsivity and activity across settings: home, school, everyday life. Over time, the WISC never watches your child in a classroom, so on its own, it cannot make that diagnosis. Let me quickly open the bonnet, because it helps to know what's under there. The WISC gives 5 index scores: verbal comprehension, how well your child reasons with words and ideas; visual spatial, how they handle shapes, space and visual detail; fluid reasoning, spotting patterns and solving brand new problems they've never seen; working memory, holding information in mind and juggling it, like doing a sum in their head; and processing speed, how quickly and accurately they get through simple visual tasks. Here's the key: a child can be strong in some of these and stretched in others. It's that pattern, the peaks and the dips, that tells a clinician far more than the single headline IQ number ever could. Here's where it gets interesting. 2 of those 5 scores, working memory and processing speed, are often lower in children with ADHD. When a bright child scores high on reasoning, but noticeably lower on holding information in mind, or working quickly and accurately, that gap is a clue. We call it a scatter in the profile. It doesn't diagnose ADHD by itself, but it flags where to look, and it rules some other things in or out, like a specific learning difficulty, or giftedness that's being mistaken for boredom. Let me make that concrete with a picture you might recognize. Imagine a quick, funny 10-year-old with a great vocabulary, who scores well on verbal reasoning but noticeably lower on working memory and processing speed. On paper, a capable kid. In the classroom, they lose instructions halfway through, take forever to copy from the board, and look like they're not trying. That gap, between what they can reason and what they can hold and do quickly, is exactly the fingerprint that says, look more closely at attention. The WISC didn't diagnose ADHD, but it pointed the torch straight at it, and it ruled out the idea that the child simply wasn't clever enough. That reframing alone can change how a school treats a child. It also protects your child from a wrong label. Attention problems can come from anxiety, from a learning disorder, from poor sleep, from being under or overstretched at school. A cognitive assessment helps tease those apart instead of assuming. So if the WISC alone can't diagnose ADHD, what does? A thorough ADHD assessment wraps the WISC inside a bigger picture. It adds standardized rating scales, questionnaires completed by parents and by teachers, because ADHD shows up across settings, not just in the clinic. It adds a careful developmental history, how your child has been since they were little, because ADHD begins early and the thread should run back through time, and it often adds direct observation or attention-specific tasks. The IQ test is one instrument in the orchestra, valuable, but not the whole piece of music. Why go to all that trouble? Because attention problems are the final common pathway for a dozen different things. A child who can't focus might have ADHD, or might be anxious, or underslept, or grieving, or sitting in a class that's too hard or too easy. Only by gathering the cognitive picture and the behavioral picture together can a clinician tell which story is true. And getting the story right is everything, because the support that helps an anxious child is not the support that helps an ADHD child. When you put it all together, you get something a single test can never give you on its own, understanding you can actually act on. So if someone tells you we'll do a WISC and that'll sort out the ADHD question, gently ask what else is in the plan. A good assessment should combine cognitive testing with behavioral information. That's what turns a number into a roadmap, school adjustments, a clearer explanation for your child, and a plan that fits the brain in front of you. So let's quickly bring it together. A WISC test measures how your child thinks across 5 areas: verbal reasoning, visual problem solving, fluid reasoning, working memory, and processing speed. On its own it does not diagnose ADHD, but the pattern of those scores can point straight to it, and a proper ADHD assessment wraps the cognitive picture together with rating scales and a developmental history, so you get understanding you can actually act on. If you'd like to go deeper on any of this, you'll find related videos linked in the description below. I've written a full plain language guide to this, what the WISC measures, and how it fits into an ADHD assessment, and it's linked in the description below. If you're in Sydney's Hills District and want to talk it through, Potentialz Unlimited in Bella Vista offers cognitive and ADHD assessments. The booking link and phone number are down there too. If this helped, subscribe. There's a new plain English psychology explainer each week.